Alright, everyone shut up. Bing, fucking bell. Oh, God. When I was a kid in school in the 90s, we had an actual bell. I know, right? Like a brass bell. It sounds almost like a fire alarm. It only goes for a split second. And then when we modernized in Y2K, they replaced it with this, like, fucking... it's like... oh my god. It sounds like the alarm in fucking James Bond, like when the enemy finds you and they hit the fucking alarm and all the guys start ringing. It's like... Brr, brr, but then they changed it a few times. I just remember when that first change happened. Made people a little sketched out when the lunch bell came. But anyway, yeah. Welcome to War College. Yeah, there's a million places we could start. If I was going to be all, like, proper, full course, I'd start from the ground up. We'd start with sticks and stones and fire and all the way up to now. But fuck that shit. I am hoping we can cover some of the, caveman instincts of fighting in the philosophy class. We'll probably touch on that sort of thing. I'm going to assume you all know what a gun is. Hopefully. We can at least start in the era of guns and move forward. And I mean, we don't really have to, as far as historical references go, I'm not going to go back any further than like World War I, basically. I'll just quickly brush over the fact, in case you're not sure. World War I is the main benchmark you could point to from the old school to the mostly modern industrial era. We didn't have computers yet, but people had cars, and there was gas motors, and yeah, but like bigger, actual shell-loading cannons, and we're just getting to that point. The technology was just getting to that point. But it was still a pretty slow process, catching up, right? People were still using horses to move stuff around and all that sort of thing. So yeah, I don't want to get too bogged down in, Nazis in World War II. Fuck that shit. Only time I'll mention that again is for another floppy dildo joke. No. I'm going to start with nukes, right? And you're thinking, it's kind of at the end of the line. Thing is, I've mentioned this before too, nukes are already becoming an older technology. We've, since the 40s going up to 29, we're almost reaching the 100-year mark from the first, the bomb. And you've probably heard, they gotten bigger and bigger and crazier, and who the hell would need a bomb that big? You should ask Russia. I don't know who has the biggest one now, but when we were testing them, yeah, Russia's like, oh, you think that's big? Fucking 60 megatons, billions, it almost blew up the atmosphere. Oh, God. Yeah, no, we'll get there, alright? Yeah, we're starting with nukes. Just fucking strap in, strap on, get ready for the floppy dildos. I may also make some quick comparisons to, like, siege weapons, like catapults and stuff. Like, when we get into, like, Scud missiles, and you can almost compare it to, like, using a trebuchet to siege a castle. So, yeah, I might make a few little references like that. But no, we're not getting bogged down in that. Might touch on it again later. No, I want to focus on the more pertinent stuff first. And I guess with the nukes, yeah, I gotta this is some philosophy too. I just want to get it out of the way, because a lot of people are going to be like, it doesn't matter, it's all the same, right? And yeah, of course, some of you might be at least willing to hear me out first, but it could still trip you up thinking, well, if they launch all the nukes, we're all going to die, right? Yeah, if everyone launches all their nukes, we're all going to die. Yeah, there are ways around that, and remember, of course, these rules, these laws, yeah, they're etiquette agreements between, like, associates, okay? They're not fucking, like, laws of physics. Anyone could use one. And the thing is, yeah, there has been debate over can we use tactical nukes? And it's like, well, good luck explaining that to Grandpa. A nuke? Yeah, exactly. And I'll nail this before we really move in. The whole crux of this whole part is with the Agent Orange, and yeah, before you start getting all Agent Orange on me... yeah, I can't say exactly why, but I've got very strong feel. My intuition is now shoving it in this direction. Like, what else could it be, right? I do not doubt that during, Vietnam, or when it came down to, why don't we just drop a tactical nuke on their fucking capital, right? We could end this right now. And then, of course, oh man, you remember Japan, right? Yeah, of course. I don't blame people for being skeptical, but, well, what happened when everyone said, no, not the nuke? Well, we're gonna need something. What about Agent Orange? Yeah. And you think, well, Agent Orange isn't gonna destroy the planet. It could, if there was enough of it. Yeah, you see, the Agent Orange, that was just enough for one little country. Kind of like the tactical nuke. If you launch all the nukes, if you spread Agent Orange around the whole planet, yeah, you see what I mean? It's worse, there's just less of it. It's almost like LSD. And no, we're not getting into acid conspiracy theories in Area 51. Fuck yourself. We can talk about that later. I just mean... LSD is a very, like, concentrated drug. Like, I've only done it a couple times, but when you do acid, it's a very, very small quantity. You're doing micrograms, milligrams. If you did a gram of acid, I'm sure you'd die. compared to a gram of cocaine or a gram of tobacco, or yeah, exactly. If you're going weight for weight, yeah, the Agent Orange is, yeah, let's get into it. I guess the last little point, disclaimer or whatever, yeah, of course you could say it'd be nice if we didn't have to use any of it. Again, I'm trying to meet you halfway here. I could just make fun of you or say, yeah, I'm trying to do that. The thing is, when you say, why don't we put all the weapons away, you're not thinking, you gotta realize that only means some people. If everyone else still has a bunch of weapons, they're not necessarily gonna listen to you. And you might think, well, give it a chance. Yeah, that's too big of a risk. I'm sorry, really? Yeah, I know, right? There's other risks we can take first, unfortunately. I mean, we can debate about it more as we go, but that's a lot of trust to place in a lot of people you don't know at all. And I mean, I don't know, man. I'm just saying it's not a solution. It's an idea. It's an idea you can expand on and use and adapt with, but just that in itself, no, I mean, yeah. And then if you were, okay, let's force everyone to get rid of all their weapons. Well, let's conquer the planet, right? And I don't know, I think some people have a genuinely hard time understanding that, like, no, we can't just tell other countries what to do. And a lot of times wars do break out over disagreements like that. Or people have this idea that there is a world government, and I know there's conspiracies about that. No, I mean even stupider. I mean, there's this kind of a joke that I guess since people used to be much more like segregated and everyone was more religious and more God-fearing, basically. People used to be more scared to say anything, basically. And nowadays we have the hipster douchebag internet problem. So yeah, what's worse, right? But it's almost like some people, or mostly older people, I guess, they have this idea that the government is just, no matter what's happening, someone else is already working on it. Or, they must have someone working on it. Yeah, eventually, right? It's like, but then it's like if the guy gets there, it's like, well, where's the... You get into problems with this. Or like... You might notice them say something like this too, where it's like, oh, what's your credentials to do something like this? And it's like, well, nothing, I'm just doing it. They're like, well, where's the government guy? Well, yeah, good question. Is there a guy from the government doing that? And they're like, well, I don't see him. It's like, well, they must be, right? You see what I mean? They just bounce back and forth. So they assume the government must already be working on it. They realize no one is and be like, well, what the fuck? Someone else starts working on it, and they're like, wait, you don't have the credentials for that. And they're like, okay, but if no one's working on it, yeah, well, it's just the government will do it. So yeah, nothing gets done. Bullshit, whatever. Yeah, sorry to yeah, I'm just trying to clear up this shit. This is the kind of shit that normally trips people up when they start talking about this. So yeah, I want to clear up the fact that, yeah, there are ways to use nukes without necessarily triggering a fucking big nuclear war. Remember, Russia is not communist anymore. We're not at war with Russia anymore. There is tension with the Chinese communists, but it seems like neither of us wants to start a war over that. I don't know, man. There have been, like, I don't know who these people... I'm sorry, I don't live in China. I have seen interviews with men with thick Chinese accents. They're not the kind who grew up here. That just indicates that they mostly grew up there, right? English is not their first language, so they should at least speak for the culture there, not everyone. But as far as I know, yeah, they're not. They are content with, Asia, basically. They don't need to own the entire world. I think they can acknowledge the fact that would be a pretty big headache, right? Trying to force the whole world to, yeah, right? And I don't think America, it's easier to have satellite states and stuff, right? All right, we'll get into that too. But yeah, just clearing that up. Don't automatically assume that one nuke is going to trigger the full, Russian nuclear war or something from the Terminator. See, if we talk to Russia and China and we all agree that one tactical nuke is the answer, we could potentially do that. It's just, I guess, we weren't able to communicate as well back then. And I guess I should say, the threat of communism got so demonized to the fact where a lot of people didn't even think it was possible to talk to them. Like, they're not humans. Yeah, exactly, right? So no, we gotta get past that shit. But I think it will really help if we do understand the difference between a tactical nuke and Tsar Bomba and all this fucking crazy shit. Because what we can do is, we can get rid of the crazy ones that no one would ever need, and keep the tactical ones. You know what I mean? Keep the ones that we could use to prevent the use of things like Agent Orange. And I know, right? It's like, I'm sorry I don't have the full solution. I can't just end all the war right now. But this is the best I can do. This is the best I can do to start minimizing the damage. And the reason Agent Orange is such a big deal is because it still kills people. And right? And I know people talk about radiation. Yeah, it lingers for hundreds of years, thousands, millions of years. No, brah. Fucking the fish I caught yesterday, it was this big. No, actually, it was this big. No, actually, it was this big. Yeah, pretty much, right? Yeah, no, Agent Orange, It's because, like, yeah, when you make something like this, yeah, there's no list of ingredients on the back, or you end up creating new ingredients that we didn't even expect. I mentioned this last time. Yeah, it's like, make the most poison thing you can. I'm gonna show you a picture of the Dr. Thrax guy again. He's like the joke character of this, and some of the, I don't know, it's hard to explain. Oh boy, yeah, just whatever. Try to keep an open mind. That's all I can say. We're going to start with a fucking propaganda kind of scare tactic here. I'm going to show you some real nuclear explosions to start. Keep in mind, these are the bigger ones. So yeah, this is just going to show you, I guess, to keep in mind how people were more scared of this back in the day. But keep in mind, there are different nukes. They're not all like this, basically. So yeah, here we go. Fucking, it's only 10 minutes, I think. It's kind of, judge for yourself. Alright, yeah, some scary shit, huh? I don't blame people for not wanting that to happen. I do not want that to happen either. And that's why I'm showing you this, and that's why I'm telling you this. A tactical nuke does not do that. Well, it does, but smaller, right? So this is the thing. If you're gonna say it's all the same, what's the difference? A nuke's a nuke, then yeah, it doesn't matter if we engineered a much more efficient tactical nuke that you're right. You're gonna think, well, if it's gonna do that, and then no, I can imagine, well, come on, it's like, right, it's like, but then you go back to this thing where it's like, okay, why not use a normal bomb? And then it's like, okay, dude, we're gonna get into this a bit more, but yeah, you have to realize that at a certain point, the normal bomb, the MOAB, the Massive Air Ordnance Burst, also known as the mother of all bombs, also known as the big motherfucking bomb, it's a big motherfucking bomb, and it's not a nuke, it's just a bomb. So if you get if the big motherfucking bomb gets bigger than the tactical nuke, where do you draw that line? I'm asking you right now, like, take a minute to think about it. There's a few things to look at here. One thing I want to point out first is, if you go by the golden rule of just don't use the nukes, okay, I can still use MOABs though, right? Yeah, big motherfucking bombs, let's go! That means I can go around nuking whatever the fuck I want, and no one will care because it's not technically a nuke. So yeah, that's why you do need to draw these distinctions. Or Agent Orange, or anything. Okay, well, we also shouldn't use Agent Orange, and we also shouldn't use the big motherfucking bomb. What about Hellfire? Oh yeah, don't use anything that's... Oh my god, man, yeah, oh, and this, and this, and that, right? So at some point, you gotta learn what these things are and draw your distinctions, right? Wait till after the world gets fucking big motherfucking bombed with Agent Orange Hellfire. It's like, wait, brah, what happened? Maybe if we knew more. I guess important detail here is that we're reaching a point where it is getting easier and more plausible to create quote-unquote normal bombs that don't use, like, atomic reactions, basically. And I mean, I guess I want to try to do this too. I think that the word nuke, it's kind of slang buzzword at this point, because yeah, it's like, well, it doesn't really have to be a nuclear reaction, and even one without it could still be bigger than a nuke, and oh, a nuke, what? Yeah, right? So unfortunately, it's entered that realm of mystical folklore, and we almost need to think of a different name for it in order to maintain accuracy. I was thinking of like a Mass Effect, like, drive, or, you know, something crazy. Because, yeah, you're just... We'll have to think of something, but for the sake of our study here, I'm going to keep calling them nukes, just so, you know, we can keep track of what the fuck we're talking about. So, yeah, no, I hope that even more skeptical people are probably like, okay, I see that it's complicated, but, like, I know it'd be nice to just get rid of all this shit, right? And like I said, we can deal with this in philosophy, but the thing is, I think about this too. It's not like I think you're a complete idiot. It's like, I get it, you know, and honestly, honestly, my way of thinking might be very flawed in that sense, and I don't really have an end game apart from trying to, like, hopefully we can all be allies, but it's gonna take time, man. Yeah, you can't call Grandpa the communists are moving in. Yeah, you gotta wait. Not necessarily till he dies, but just whatever. All in good time, right? You gotta give people time to familiarize, and oh, okay, so he's a human, alright. I didn't know Chinese people got that big, you know, whatever. You'll figure shit out as it goes. I guess, well, yeah, before I start digging into your philosophy on that, I'll just try to finish up mine. I realized that even if we had this trio of badass fucking nuke monsters or whatever, right? I realize that's still a short-term solution, okay? Yeah, I don't expect us to keep the world on 24-hour fucking 9/11 lockdown for the... I just think that could put a pause to global warfare. We would have time to stop and rebuild and relax and rethink it. Hopefully think of better solutions than, alright, now that the war's over, let's throw all these weapons away and then someone else starts a war, yeah. So essentially it could buy us time to fucking clear the garbage out of the basement and out of the attic and out of the fucking garage and actually start working on some more productive ideas. Like, if we wanted to build bigger farming or power networks or whatever, you kind of need elbow room to do that sort of thing, and you don't want to be worried about, oh, you know, we can't go there, or, you know, there's ISIS, is that right? So, once we can go places where the ISIS hotel, or, you know, yeah, right? Be a little easier to do stuff like that. So that's my angle here. I figure once we get the triumvirate going, once the fucking world superpowers are aligned, no one will be capable of launching a world war anymore against them. I know it's harsh to think of it that way, but it's like, sorry, we're too tough now, yeah, bully everyone. But again, bullying might be the better solution. Yeah, what's worse, getting nuked or getting bullied, right? Bullying has to stop. That's why shit like that too. If you're so adamant, like, no one should ever bully anyone. But I could use a Moab. Okay, I can't use a nuke and I can't bully, but I can Moab, right? And then that just leads to, well, no one should do anything. Just don't use any weapons. Yeah, no, sorry, hipster douchebag. I don't think you're there yet, unless you already are. So yeah, with these nukes here, no, we're going to finish looking at these nukes. What I want to do is, we're going to go through a quick, the evolution of the technology, but there isn't really much to look at. Basically, we went from dropping nukes out of a plane. That's the one old grandpa who thinks there's one nuke. I'm sorry. You know, you can probably tell based on looking at the fucking old Nazi fucking goofball movies. There was a common misconception for a long time that there was basically just one nuke. And that if they dropped it, it would blow up the planet, like, kind of thing. Like, that's, I can imagine, like, my mom thinking something like that 30, 40 years ago, right? Oh no, if they drop the nuke, the planet will blow up, right? Don't drop the nuke! Exactly! So I was like, what about a tactical nuke? No! So that's, yeah, why it's important to know these things. And, I don't think most people were very worried about this much, at least not over here, until Russia started getting them, once we realized, America wasn't the only one with them. And I don't know, the Cold War, yeah, it's a big thing, you know, we can look at parts of it as we go. But basically, oh man, I have to go back to the floppy dildo Nazi thing. So yeah, no, sorry, this is one relevant piece, alright? The V-rocket designs, yeah, basically we started putting the nuclear warhead inside of missiles and rockets, and that's like, when you think of it now, launching the nukes is big fucking missiles coming out of the ground. Even that is old-fashioned. We're gonna get there. So what I'm talking about now is like the 70s and the 80s, right, when I was a kid, and we were they're not Star Wars laser. The Star Wars laser program was from the 70s. Look, there's stuff from the 70s. It's been around for a long time. That means it's real. No, that means they came up with the idea in the 70s, and the fucking admiral or general was like, dude, how much fucking acid did you guys drop in Area 51 when you were testing that shit? Kind of shuffles it into a drawer. He's like, yeah, alright, you know, maybe I'll talk to the Air Force general later, but you might be getting a little ahead of yourself with that one, bruh. Yes, the ideas have been around. I don't know if I've mentioned this before. Lasers are not quite the awesome, godlike super weapon you might think. Yes, they have their uses, but yeah, no. You gotta realize what a laser is. It's like a really strong flashlight that could melt through something. It doesn't shoot a bolt of, well, in Star Wars, it's a blaster. Exactly, right? Those aren't even lasers. Well, in Star Trek, it's a phaser. Yeah, that's not a laser either. So if you're thinking of phasers and blasters and... Wait, what? The laser is their little laser pointer. I bought a laser when I was a fucking kid in the 90s. So yeah, that technology has been around for a while. And yeah, you can put more power. They got fucking labs where... Fermi labs or whatever. Yeah, it's like a fucking 3-mile tube with a giant laser and they shoot. Yeah. You can build some big, crazy... Yeah, that thing's probably bigger than a Star Destroyer, uses as much power, and yeah, that laser ain't getting... that amount of power could do a lot more. You could channel that into a bunch of fucking rail cannon Gauss rifles and just shoot little lead pellets through. Oh, these aren't nukes. These are just fucking lead pellets that'll punch through a fucking planet. Not quite, but yeah, you know what I mean. It's ignorant to think that one super god weapon, like the nuke, that's it. Once we beat that enemy, once we win that war, and once we get that weapon, that's the end of everything, right? I can sit on my ass like King Henry. Oh, no. Unfortunately, life's not that simple, and basically to overcome these things, you gotta keep up with it, and on top of it, basically, you gotta make sure you have the Moab and no one else. We got the biggest motherfucking bombs, and I know how it is. It's like, I even get the whole ego argument. It's like, oh my god, like, you guys didn't feel tough enough, you had to build an even bigger bomb and waste all this money, and it's like, you gotta realize, if I can drop one big motherfucking bomb on your capital and then the war's over, I spent less money, less people died, it took less time. What's better, that or not being all egotistical macho? Really, it's like, oh, there's an army of super soldiers marching through the city. Yeah, right? Show of force, my god. Thing is, no matter what you do, it's gonna cause problems. And of course, yeah, well, how about, yeah. We gotta save that for philosophy class, unfortunately. We'll get into how to not fight, but in here, we're assuming that this is in any case of war, what do? We have to, because guess what? We run into this shit all the time, and if we have no plan, our only plan is to not have a war, we're gonna end up fucking jihad nuking everything in the end, because whatever. We've already crossed the line, we might as well keep going, yeah. We actually can reference back to World War II. Because that was some of the bigger, like, bombing campaigns. Yeah, we spent a lot of time bombing Germany, and they were bombing England, and fucking Japan bombing shit, and us bombing Japan, so yeah. And the thing is, Yeah, you know, you can see the videos of, oh, it's quote-unquote carpet bombing. It's basically what it sounds like. Imagine dragging a carpet across the floor. Yeah, everything that carpet touches is getting bombed. And that's what they were doing for the most part. You fill up a plane with a shitload of bombs, and you carpet the whole area, and hopefully whatever you're aiming for gets hit, along with everything around it. So yeah, even if you use small, normal bombs, it doesn't, right? It doesn't matter if it's one big motherfucking bomb or 100 little motherfucking bombs. It's gonna be right. So then you might even be scratching your head like, my god, this sounds mind-bogglingly stupid. And in a way, you're right. I agree. But you gotta realize, most of this stuff is rushed. Like, you know, we gotta get this done now, yeah. And, you know, in a perfect world, you got time to sit down and be like, all right, what do we want, right? But usually in the middle of a war, it's like, oh shit, we need this weapon now, right? So, whatever. This is the thing, if we can get this done in this triumvirate, whatever the fuck it is, we will have time to sit down and think for once. That'd be nice. It's all I can offer you, right? Then you can start deciding how big a big motherfucking bomb has to be before it's a really big motherfucking bomb. That sort of thing. I guess if you want any philosophy to take from that, I understand if you don't want to fucking big motherfucking bomb everything, but you should be include within that philosophy all manners of bombing, whether it be carpet bombing, little bombs, big bombs, or right. You know, incorporate each one. And yes, I understand if you don't want to use any of them. We'll cover that in philosophy. Assuming we're at war with some crazy-ass motherfuckers, and we don't want to panic and do something really stupid, because unfortunately, no matter how humble you try to be, if you panic and your life is threatened, you'll basically do almost anything to survive. Even if it does mean Agent Anthrax Orange fucking jihad with the Moabs. Oh yeah, whatever the fuck it takes. Yeah, let's try to avoid whatever the fuck it takes. That's when things get bad. Kind of brings me back to the tactical nukes. We'll get there, but basically, my argument is that a tactical nuke is the least destructive way of bombing something. It's the most accurate. You know what I mean? You don't have to carpet bomb. You can basically control how big the explosion is. Like, we need to blow up just that city. Even half that. I mean, yeah, you're gonna get to the area where, if you're on that half of the city, what about the radiation? Well, it's kind of the thing. With these smaller nukes, there's much less radiation. Yes, it's still dangerous, but it's much less than anything else we have yet for that category. That's what I mean. It's the best thing we have yet. And I guess it frustrates me to think that such great effort was put into, like, oh yeah, the most the efficient way to bomb people. I know how that sounds, but really it's like, I found a way to kill the least amount of people possible, and it's like, oh, fuck you, what an asshole. I was like, thanks, and then later it's like, oh, what do we do? Just bomb it? Yeah, right, exactly. So, I don't know, I'm not saying you have to accept the idea, just incorporate it, right? Or put it on the list, on your ladder ranking of things you would never do in your life. Somewhere below gluing pubic hair on your face, and, right? Yeah. Oh, which one is that? Oh, man. I guess that, but it's worth mentioning, too, because, yes, people get, very, like, no, you don't never use that. But then people are very tolerant and accepting of carpet bombing or something. They'll fucking cheer, like, yeah, fucking bomb those Nazis. Doesn't matter if it hit a hospital and a school and a bunch of kids died. Yeah, they were probably Nazi Hitler youth. It's like, wow, man, wow, right? So I know, right? So that's why it gets to me sometimes. I understand if you don't want to bomb everything. I don't understand if, whatever, I'll do whatever I want until it's inconvenient for me. Or it's just that one bomb I don't like. It's like, yeah, are you racist against bombs? It almost sounds like that. What's your problem with the nuke? Is it because of the radiation? Yeah. Yeah, radiation's some nasty shit. We'll get to that. I'm gonna have to explain basically what radiation is. I hate to say this has been heavily sensationalized in the media, and the green, glowing, toxic goo. If you see that shit, it's not radiation. I don't know what the fuck that is. Agent Green, as in, like, fucking Dr. Thrax made Agent Orange even stronger. Yeah, we're getting there. Yeah, it's a bit of a rabbit hole, because it's one of those things where there's different, like, I thought it was radioactive particles. Look, it's sort of, oh my god, man. We're gonna have to separate a whole, like, section of the, like, that'll be its own course, basically, because it's not really technical, but it's the kind of thing where you do need to hammer out those details. Otherwise, you end up with the hipster douchebag floppy dildo arguments, where it basically is like two guys sword fighting with floppy dildos, and they ain't getting nowhere. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, the nukes. What most people now would think about when, they're launching the nukes, is those big missiles, the ICBMs, Intercontinental Ballistic Missiles, also known as the fucking I can bomb your motherfucking, almost, I know, right? I can imagine people who come up with these jokes, they probably come up with the names while they're waiting for it in the mission, like, man, what would you call this one? Big motherfucking bomb? Yeah, exactly, right? Anyway, yeah, like I said, this is already pretty outdated. Those nukes are already, like, old-fashioned. There are literally nukes sitting in dumpsters that we're waiting to get rid of. I know you probably heard that Canada has like one nuke somewhere, just in case we got that one nuke. It's literally like a museum antique, like in a dumpster somewhere. It would be a hassle to use. We would have to work twice as hard to make any use of it. Oh man. But really, that's why it's important to understand these distinctions. So it's not just like, oh, you got a nuke, that means you're gonna blow up the world. It's like, bruh, if I dropped this nuke on you, you'd fucking laugh at me. It'd be like that Simpsons episode where fucking Sideshow Bob steals the nuke from the 50s and a little poof of smoke comes out of it and it's like expiry date 1974 or something. Before we move on from this era, there is a little bit of interesting history to look at, and it does involve Nazis. Oh boy! And how horribly they failed at it, right? Sorry, if I could point out one of Hitler's greatest failings as, a commander or whatever. Those V-rockets, man. Yeah, guess what the ultimate, weapon of the modern day is? Missiles and rockets. Everything is a missile or a rocket. We've been using them since we stole them from the Nazis after we beat them. Basically, Nazis were working on these rockets. They had already started firing some of them toward England. They were very rudimentary. I mean, realistically, we've had rockets like this for a long time. The British used to have big wooden Congreve rockets full of gunpowder. And yeah, it's not quite as good as a fucking, fucking Scud missile, but it's the same kind of deal. It's a bit smaller. And yeah, when you start shooting these at a fort or something, that thing's not going to last long. It burns and blows up, and fucking you blow up infantry. You can use it against ships. You can use it against almost anything. The song, oh my god, have you ever heard someone make fun of this? I don't even know the whole American national anthem, but it's like, and the red rockets glare, bombs bursting in air, and everyone's like, oh, that's so American. Brah, bitch, fucking bitch titty brah. They're talking about the British rockets and bombs that they, right? Can you imagine, at least now I know how it feels for people to be all racist against it. I'm not even that white. People have made fun of me for looking Mexican or something, and it's like, oh, hombre, no, diablo, no. I guess I could see why someone would think that. I'm Latin, not Latino. There's a difference. There's no Aztec in here, man. Sorry. So yeah, that song about achieving independence from the British while they're shooting rockets and bombs at us. Those are British rockets and bombs, and yeah, they had the wooden Congreve rocket, which is basically a wooden Scud missile, right? So this technology's been around for a bit. And mortar bombs, which is like a cannon that shoots a bomb. Like, cannonballs kind of look like bombs? Well, some of them are. I mentioned this one of my other ones, like Monitor dreadnoughts or whatever. Oh no, sorry, I was talking about this in another place. The British eventually built these ships. I know you think of like pirate ship duels where they got all the cannons light up and they get the two ships next to each other. Boom, they shoot off hundreds of cannons and then reload the cannon. Yeah, right. At some point, the British got good with their bomb and rocket technology to where, yeah, they can get a big dreadnought with some ironclad plating and chains on it, and fucking cannons that can shoot mortar bombs really far, and rockets and missiles, and suddenly your shitty old pirate ship full of old cannons, oh, no. Because, even with those old pirate ships, you might think, oh, we got hundreds of them. You gotta get really fucking close to hit something with those cannons. That's why they do that. They get into what they call, knife fighting range. When ships are knife fighting, it means they're, side by side, shooting the cannons at point blank. Yeah, they don't do that anymore. And thing with the fucking mortars and rockets is you can shoot them from miles away, or, they could start launching them from a mile away. So you can't even get close before they're gonna sink you, right? And every time something like that happens, it changes everything. You gotta fucking invent new weapons, yeah, exactly. So, where were we? Oh yes, that's right, the rocket technology. The Nazis had been perfecting this technology. They had built modern metal rockets with liquid fuels. They were just full of normal explosives. But once we had they were hoping to put that shit in there, because as far as I can tell, they were also working on nuclear technology, and Einstein and all that. They didn't have enough time to finish, and of course they were turning into such hipster douchebags, I hate to say it, that no one wanted to be there. Fucking all the scientists ran away. So sorry guys, you scared all your scientists away. But yeah, the reason I point this out is one of his greater follies is, I've mentioned this before, one of Hitler's problems is taking on too much at once, or too many projects at once. He's like, I want new planes, new tanks, new rockets, new submarines. Buddy, pick something and go from there. So, right, prioritize. And I think he had a hard time. He just is like, well, whatever, just all the shit all the time, right? Hard to blame him for that. But like I said, that's where you start with that philosophy. And if it's too much, it's too much. You got to start downsizing. So, yeah, with him, I think he got a little too pushy with that, a little too much expectations. It's kind of hard to blame him because, yeah, they technically did have like one of the biggest economies, industries, all that. They had the money, the factories, the workers. You always hit that point, the sum of, you know, when the curve on the graph, and yeah, you don't have not enough anymore. But anyway, my point is, if he hadn't been dispersing all of his resources so much, focusing on 20 or 30 different projects at once, and half of them turned out useless anyway, if he had focused more on just those rockets and a couple, you know, make sure you got the Panzer tank was fine. They did not need the fucking, right? You got a tank that works. They already have like one of the best air forces. I don't think they needed to do much there at the time. They were already like neck and neck with the British. They just needed more planes. Should have focused on their best interceptor and bomber and just built them. Don't fucking waste money designing new ones yet. Or I don't know. It's hard to say. But what I'm saying is, if they had focused on the rockets and had them developed and ready and more, if they had fucking enough of those, oh yeah, the Battle of Britain would have been a lot different. I don't think there would be a Britain anymore. Normally, someone would ask, why does this matter? But since we're talking about Nazis, it's like, oh yeah, oh Nazis, yeah, okay. No, not anymore past that. So yeah, after we defeated the Nazis, they defeated the Nazis. Germany got split in half. You got the Berlin Wall. No, we're not talking about fucking hippies in the Berlin Wall. Sorry, man. They weren't hippies. Yeah, no. What I mean is, Germany got split in half. The U.S. mainly took control of the western part, and Soviet Union had the eastern part. And that means, as we're divvying up the resources, not just in Berlin, but the whole country, right? So, obviously they couldn't have planned all of this ahead of time. Like, it was a matter of convenience to split the country in half. And I'm sure they had decided, who gets the bigger half, and you get a little bit more on this side. I don't think they spent much time bickering about that one little... they tried to be reasonable, basically. Like, oh yeah, I'm not just going to give you a fucking corner, right? So, it's like cutting a pizza in half, and you're both a little drunk. It's like, all right. One of them might be a little bit bigger, but yeah, all right. It was close enough, right? They both agreed it was close enough. Anyway... Both sides had, they found laboratories and factories and, secret Nazi zombie experiments. Yeah, that's cool. I'm glad. Guess what I found, bro? A bunch of fucking V-rockets. Yeah, that was a much better project to find. And the technology and the designs and the blueprints. And that's why America and Russia came out as, whoa, where'd you guys get fucking thousands of missiles from? Oh, got them from the Nazis. And I guess, there's probably a morality tale in here about evil begetting evil and violence begetting violence, but either way, it's a funny little irony. It's like, we're so scared of them damn Nazis and the Japanese, whatever, we'll make a Pearl Harbor movie in 100 years. Fuck. Oh, God. Sorry. Anyway. There's lots of good documentaries about that stuff. But anyway, no, it's, you get so fixated on the one enemy, the Darth Vader, literally, where's Darth Vader? Eventually you kill Darth Vader and you realize, the war's over, right? Yeah, well, get ready for a bigger war, right? And, I'm not, it's simplistic to just say, like, any fighting will make any fighting. I just mean, do not assume that once you defeat the evil empire, that's it. Because, yeah, those great weapons of the evil empire just create bigger weapons for two more bigger empires, right? So it's, yeah... I just find it a little ironic that whatever, like, they both had their struggles, right? Like, the Soviet Union was just becoming a world superpower. The States was probably one of the biggest, strongest countries, whatever, but it was already pushing its resources at that point. They were maxed out, basically. They couldn't really push any harder, and if they had been forced to push too hard for too much longer with the Japanese and that, yeah, they were pretty close to breaking at that point. I don't think most people realized it, and I doubt the media wanted people to know how close they were to breaking before then, but, well, they had the luxury of keeping it far away from the border, right? Yeah, you can say whatever the fuck you want. And it's like, oh, it's just a big motherfucking bomb. Don't worry. But, yeah, no, anyway. I don't know, I've heard some things, or even thought as a kid, like, oh, it doesn't seem fair that these giant countries have all these bombs and missiles. Yeah, you gotta realize it's more than just a lizard man conspiracy. There may be lizard men orgies, but it's not the lizard man conspiracy. There are factors that contribute to this. It's not just one evil man decided that one day. There's so many parts of history where the slightest thing, it's like, oh, it's like winning the lottery, really. I'm not saying you should go play the lottery, but yeah, no, they straight up won the lottery by finding all that technology before anyone else had the chance to, basically. So yeah, those two countries had a head start that no one else did. By the time they had their fucking arsenals going, yeah, you guys want to buy the old ones? Yeah, exactly. It's pretty much where Scud missiles come from. We'll get to there. That was the weapon of choice for the Muslims in fucking the Afghanistan crisis. It's like, oh shit, you guys have nukes? No. Remember, nukes? Oh boy, yeah, it's important to distinguish these things, huh? You mean the nuke? really, a nuke is just the warhead. It's the atomic bomb, right? You can put it in a missile, you can put it in a bomb, you can take it out of the missile, and then that missile is not a nuke anymore, it's just a missile. Then you can fill the missile with anthrax and Agent Orange, right? Put anything you fucking... You can fill it with sewage. Call that a fucking Taliban submarine. Oh, fuck, I'm sorry. Septic tank. I know, right? I know how horrible that sounds, but hey. Hey, man, we gotta be able to make fun of you. They have worse jokes about us. I do not doubt it, man. Oh, my God. Anyway. Yeah, so that's, again, why it's important to make these distinctions. Because you have these half-assed rules that make you feel morally like, yeah, I did the right thing. Not really. Sorry. I don't know how else to put it. I'm not saying you did a horrible thing, but you didn't... It's very much hipster douchebag. You didn't really accomplish anything other than taking up space and distracting people and confusing people, and yeah. So let's get on with this. So all I'm saying is, if you've ever wondered, like, something weird, how do the two biggest countries in the world suddenly, like, seem like they sprung up overnight? It's because they literally consumed Germany. It's like two wolves eating an animal, a deer or something. And yeah, since Germany was such a wealthy, powerful country before they fell, all that shit, all those resources, even whatever, like, you wonder, like, how did Russia build 1,000 tanks? Well, we took like 500 tanks from left over from Germany and kind of painted over them. Yeah, right? Modify them into yours. So yeah, a lot of raw materials and materials that were already processed. Like the steel has already been fabricated. We just have to grind off the edge and put new bolts in it. And yeah, a lot of the Soviet military hardware was like that. It was recovered German military hardware that they painted over and sanded over and cut to size and beep, pop it on there, and there you go. There's your tank. And yeah, so I mean, it's just... It's like what I said about the Team America World Police thing. It's like, the more you get someone else to help you, the stronger they become, not you. And then eventually they will become so powerful, they don't even really need you anymore. I mean, they might like you, but yeah, that's how you give away power, unfortunately. I don't mean never ask for help. I mean, ideally you should need it, or it should be a good friend that you trust, or whatever. But yeah, if you go call in 911 anytime a dog craps on your lawn, well, eventually the cops are going to be fucking Terminator, android, fucking, hipster douchebag, WMD, fucking crazy robots. Man, just, yeah, the more fighting they do, the more powerful they're gonna get. And yeah, like, I realize there's a lot of warmongering and crazy shit that goes on, but so much of it does start with, Russia, America, come on, you're the only two that can do this, and then they do it, and it's like, they look behind them like, yeah, you guys are looking pretty small from up here, and yeah. My only advice to avoid this in the future is try not to rely on a Superman, basically. Literally, like, don't worry, Superman will, fucking powerful Superman's gonna get by the, yeah, that's how you end up with Superman. It's because you sit on your ass like King Henry waiting for someone else. I get it. If you don't have, yeah, but like, I get it, right? Everyone needs help sometimes. I'm just saying, don't let that be a first resort. It's like when people say, oh, no, Canada can't get invaded, we have so many allies. It's like, you must realize that can't last forever. Eventually, all your allies will either be defeated or become more powerful than you, or part of a separate coalition, and you'll become one of those, so like Switzerland or something. You gotta realize, a country like Switzerland, I know, people love it. Oh, what about Switzerland? What about Switzerland? It's a very small country, okay? Very small, and very efficiently designed from the get-go. It's like, it was like an order of rich barons from Germany, and they're like, oh, we're gonna build our castle in the mountains, we're gonna have our own standard, our own flag. Yeah, no, they had that shit planned out centuries in advance, and they're very, yeah, right, and it's like, unfortunately, most countries aren't like that. We didn't have time to plan all this shit from day one. And I mean, whatever, you can go back in time, go bitch at someone's gravestone, I don't know. That's one reason Switzerland is like that. And I'm sorry, but if you took a country like Switzerland and inflated it to the size of Canada, I don't think it would be as easy to maintain a neutrality like that. You can declare neutrality, but it's people are still going to be knocking on your door. Your door's a lot bigger, right? They're knocking on both sides. Oh, fuck, man. You gotta realize, being neutral doesn't just mean, oh, I didn't kill anyone, right? No, if you are friends with one guy, then you're enemies with another guy, or whatever. Or, your girlfriend hates some nasty bitch, so her boyfriend doesn't like you, and it's like, what the fuck did I get myself into, right? Yeah, I'm sure you've been in a situation like that. Well, shit, if we're fighting them, and they're fighting them, and he's fighting them, and you're friends with him, then yeah, they're gonna go after you to get to him. So being neutral means being neutral. It means, no, like, even trading can be like, let's keep this as simple as possible. But, no, I mean, whatever. I'd rather be buddy bra with the big bra there. I mean, whatever. If you want to be neutral, it means you basically can hardly trade with them. You can trade, but it's got, yeah, again, it's got to be minimal, simple shit. You can't go, like, full on, yeah. That's why those sort of neutralities are difficult, and that's why it basically takes a country like Switzerland to maintain a neutrality like that for so long. Not to mention that Switzerland is fucking in the top of the Alps or whatever. It's like on Mount Mordor. Like, yeah, it's really hard to get an army up there, man. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, sure, you could drop a fucking big motherfucking bomb on it, but at this, what good would that do you, right? What are you gonna get out of it? So it's more to do with that and less to do with fucking Swiss gold in a bank. I'm sure they will tell you that. It's like me telling the Canada thing. You want to live in the North Pole with Santa? It's a slight exaggeration. It's not untrue, but you play it up like that and whatever. So do but they. Yeah. You really want to lose all your gold? I don't know, man. A lot of countries do this. I don't know. It's a thing. You got the folklore that surrounds whoever. Yeah, the fucking mystical ice demon. Oh, man. Anyway, back to the nukes. Yeah, so that's why Russia and fucking America had a fucking million nukes before anyone else did. And yeah, from there, I'm sure you can imagine where things go from there. So let's take that closer to the modern day. You're probably wondering, well, wait a minute. If shooting the big missiles out of the ground is old-fashioned, what do they do today? Oh, it's the Star Wars. Yeah, it's the Star Wars, buddy. Go watch some Star Wars, and we're going to look at this, and then you can bring your Star Wars buddies to our galaxy, and I guess I should clarify. When I said their ships wouldn't work, the ship itself, you know, if you need a different engine system. As far as I know, they hardly explain any of this shit in the original movies, and I know they probably extend into it, and in episode 60 of the TV show of the Clone Wars. I'm sorry, I can't. Didn't see all those, but no, anyway, as far as I know, even in Star Trek, they have these, like, made-up energy resources, like dilithium crystals, and, yeah, in that galaxy, sure, I ain't seen no dilithium crystals around here. We use fucking gasoline, yeah, right, whatever's here, hydrogen. All I'm saying is, if you have a specialized engine system like that uses certain elements and phase crystals, there's some kind of weird crystal in Star Wars that they use for the laser, like, yeah, I'm sorry, we don't have that shit here. You gotta get it from your galaxy. That's what I meant when I said all that shit wouldn't really work here. Sure, they can get here, they might be able to shoot, like, they're gonna run out eventually, so that can't be their only strategy. And yeah, you get them far enough, we got a fucking bunch of stormtroopers down here. No, man. Sorry to veer off. Hey, it's keeping people's attention. Someone woke up when I said stormtroopers. So, yeah. So, if it's not the Star Wars platform and it's not the missiles coming out of the ground, where are all the nukes? Well, the current modern best, the nukes that will kill you if another war starts, they're in the submarines, the nuclear submarines. You've probably heard of these, and it's like, so does that mean the submarine is nuclear? Does it mean it has nukes in it? I thought it was a nuclear engine. That's why it's important to distinguish these things, otherwise you would think the submarine was a giant nuke. Yeah, no, let's get into it. So yeah, I'm pretty damn sure that when you say nuclear submarine, they're referring to the engines, a nuclear engine in the submarine. So, there's a number of reasons to do this, and yeah, you don't necessarily need to put nukes, like, only certain subs have them. I'll get into this. There's the bigger boomer subs and the smaller hunter killers. So the smaller combat subs don't have nukes in them, but they still have nuclear engines if they're a nuclear sub. And yeah, I know, there's a bunch of different reasons. From what I can tell, the main benefit to having a nuclear engine is that your fuel reserve is much smaller. I want to say you use less fuel, it's just the fuel you're using takes up a lot less space. So, an old school fucking diesel engine ship, like, fucking half the ship is full of fuel. Or, you know what I mean? Like, that's a really fine balancing point. Because, like, what was that big, German battleship, whatever the fuck it was. The Germans built some big fucking battleships that were gonna be, like, the fucking heart of their navy. Unfortunately, they didn't learn a very important lesson from World War I about how dreadnoughts and battleships are kind of outdated by now, right? Like, Star Destroyers, yeah, they're kind of old-fashioned technology at this point, and unfortunately. Submarines and aircraft carriers were the way of the future, and that's why, they were the big thing in the Pacific Theater, and, those, what the fuck did the Germans call them? Underwater boats, basically, yeah, fucking U-boats, yeah, that was, like, the most effective part of their military for the most part. They didn't have enough. But the thing with those old school submarines, if they got a diesel engine, and I'm not an expert on cars, but I'm pretty sure cars need air, or you know what I mean? If you drive your car underwater, it's... Yeah, it's not just the electricity. Well, electricity is part of it. So yeah, diesel engines don't work underwater. Of course, the engine is inside of the submarine, but if it needs air intake, yeah, you go underwater and you can't, yeah, you know, something, what do we do? So what they did was they had battery reserves for an electric engine, like an electric motor with big old batteries, and then you need a diesel engine with fuel to, right, your whole ship is full of batteries and diesel fuel and big engines, and we got enough room for a gun on this thing? Yeah, right? Can fit one torpedo bay. So that was why the idea of a nuclear sub was appealing. Yes, the nuclear engine is quite a sensitive thing. The engine itself isn't big, but you need casing and things. Yeah, the engine room is pretty big and kind of cumbersome, but that's it. That's all you need. You don't need a bunch of fucking generators and extra shit and extra fuel storage, and you can store all your fuel in like a box, basically, and that's enough to last years. And you gotta realize there's a point of diminishing returns. You don't need enough fuel for 50 years, because are you going to be gone for 50 years? You might as well get some. Are you going to run out of food before 50 years is over? You only need enough that matches your other stores, so however long you plan to be able to be out there. So as far as I know, like one of these top tier nuclear subs, you could potentially survive fully submerged underwater for a couple years at a time. They could literally sink under the ocean and wait down there for a full year. The guys inside would probably go crazy and start flopping around dildos with each other. I have no idea, man. You'd get pretty nutty in that ship for that long. But then, yeah, compare that to like the U-boats, which could only remain submerged for a couple hours, like until your electric battery reserves start to die. Well, yeah, I know, like, you know, how long does your phone last with its little battery? And remember, yeah, you know. It's always a fine, rickety science, but no, that's why those nuclear engines are such a, you know, it's why everyone wanted them and why the nuclear subs were such a big deal. Because, of course, a good submarine can also makes your battleships obsolete, basically, right? And then the carriers, of course, you know, big U.S. modern aircraft carriers also use nuclear engines, again, so they carry less fuel and blah, blah, blah. Just keep in mind that that has to do with the engine, not the weapons. Having the nuclear engine does not mean you can shoot nukes everywhere. You also need to take nukes with you, alright? Just important to distinguish that. Again, so you're like, oh, we don't want any nukes, get rid of the nuclear subs. It's like, dude, this thing is gonna protect us from nukes. It's like, no. Yeah, buzzwords, man. I got a billion buzzwords in a beehive, bitch. Having said that, yeah, there are nuclear submarines that are full of nukes. Oh my god, who would have guessed? Yeah, they usually call those boomers. Boom! Those are usually the really big submarines. So you see some of them and it's like, whoa, I didn't realize submarines were that big. Yeah, those are the boomers. And most of it is just storage space for the missile racks. And, like, I don't know, they basically want to keep the missiles upright so that they can shoot them up. You don't want to shoot them forward, right? Yeah. And they can even launch them from underwater, and then the missile will, like, float to the top and then hit the engines. So, thing is, this thing could launch nukes at you before you see, you know, you might be thinking, like, oh, here come the submarines. It's like, dude, come on, this isn't the 1940s, bro, right? This isn't World War II. No, they could go underwater, a year later, come up near you in your harbor where you see it, and literally the missiles would fly out of the water. That's it. So just be like, oh, by the time they fly out of the water, yeah, right. So that's where we're at now. That's the current danger, and these things are all over the planet. Every major first world nation has at least a few. Obviously, the States probably has the most. I think Russia. I don't know if Russia kept up after a while, because that project basically bankrupted the Soviet Union or fucked their economy. I wouldn't doubt they have enough to keep up now. And I don't know what China's like with that. I've looked into a bit of their military, because they like to show it off, of course. It's not all classified. They're like, hey, look at our new tanks, right? But they're only showing you a few things. They have naval capacity, but since most of the fighting they do is on, most of the territory they're trying to control is kind of land-based struggle, whatever. That's where most of their focus is. I'm guessing they have just enough navy to sort of protect their shores and maintain sort of control of that area. But I'm not sure if they have a bunch more shit, we'll go check it out one day. Yeah, I don't know, who knows, man. So yeah, I mean, it's hard. This is the thing, though. It reaches a point where you don't need millions of right? Why would you need thousands of submarines? It's kind of pointless. There's only so much ocean. I know the ocean's big, but the range on some of these things gets to a point where, yeah, a couple hundred subs is about all you need to patrol the entire fucking global ocean. And they also have these little sensors. I'm seeing conspiracy theories like, why the fuck do you think they would do this? Like, god damn, oh, we need radar. Yeah, oh man, I just think it's weird how everything anyone does is suspicious, especially when you're at war. Everything's sketchy. Yeah, I want a fucking warning system. It's like putting an alarm on your door. Why would they do that? That's very suspicious. Are you expecting to get robbed? I'm hoping I don't, but yeah, right. You're only inviting him in. Oh man. Oh, I'm fucking losing track. Anyway, no, we got to the modern day. So yeah, in today's modern age, you might be wondering why they're fucking tossing old nukes in the dumpster. Like, wait, what's going on? What do you guys have now? They're all in the boomer subs underwater. And then the smaller subs are the combat subs. Those are the ones you use to sink other ships and hunt the other boomers. If it came down to like a full-on naval modern war, yeah, you'd have the hunter killers going to hunt the enemy boomers before the boomers get to your shore to launch their nukes out of your water. Oh man, that would last a couple days. Sketchy to think about, but yeah, there's probably naval war games going on where they're thinking about how fast that could happen. And yeah, anyway, yeah, if you're worried about the nukes, that's where they are. So if you go looking anywhere else, all you're gonna find is fucking Lil Jon and Lil Wayne sitting in a dumpster in Canada somewhere. That's not even a joke. Yeah, and that's most of what you need to know up to the modern day. There's a few things we can look at now, but and related to this and branching out. But I just think, yeah, it's quite a distinction from, dropping a bomb out of an airplane to, the big missiles to, racing for better missiles and the space race. And no, a lot's happened since then, since the 60s. And hey, you know what? Turning into an old man myself. I know what it's like. Be like, oh yeah, back in the 90s, yeah, I catch myself slipping up, get the lighting system. There's no more lighting, Grandpa. Yeah, I'm sure this is going to bite me in the ass one day, but whatever, man. As long as this helps someone. Yeah. So just, I don't know, it's the best I can do to introduce you to that concept now. They're basically, there are still land-based nukes. I'm sure they've got a bunch left, just in case. But as far as, if you're the admiral, the general, fucking, conferencing and say, all right, man, what are we doing? Well, the priority one fucking nuclear launch system is in those boomer subs in the ocean. And I mean, you might be thinking, what the hell? It's another one of those mind-bogglingly stupid. I know someone has their head in their hands right now, laughing. It's like, what the fuck, dude? There is practical reason, okay? It's like, remember the Cuban Missile Crisis? Cuba was just a launch platform for missiles. All they wanted was to get the missiles closer. With the boomer subs, you can drive a submarine there. Oh, right, here they are. They had nuclear subs back then, but they weren't boomers. I know. Then you get it, though. You're like, okay, no, I get it. Yeah, you do kind of need to know these things to make these decisions, right? Well, I mean, if you said get rid of everything nuclear, it's like, dude, we have to scrap our entire military. It's like, well, good. It's like, no, dude, if that was the decision, we should have done that before. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, so it's, of course, yeah, the obvious advantage is no more Cuban Missile Crisis. Yeah, we can park Cuba wherever the fuck we want. So yeah, can we move Cuba over there? Oh, okay, just drive Cuba up. Yeah, it's a little portable Cuba. And you can put little Cuban cigars in it. Yeah, right, little cigar box. It's basically what that is. And the reason you got the separate ones and why the boomers and the hunter killers, you got to realize the boomer's already a big fucking submarine, and that's pretty much all it has. It might have one torpedo bay, but they're not designed for fighting. I would not doubt that the captain of a boomer is under orders to retreat from battle at any and all opportunities. No, you do not take that thing into a fight. You run away from the fight while hunter killers move in. And it's like, it's easy to think the bigger ship is better, but no, we learned this in World War I. Big dreadnought battleships are just cumbersome fucking disasters. At that point of diminishing returns where it's consuming more energy or resources than the whole fleet, and the whole fleet has to work double time to protect it. It's really just like a fucking, what's the word, a monument, right? It's like protecting a monument wonder in a game. It's like, this thing is completely useless. Yeah, pretty much, right? The thing is, of course, it's a big, powerful ship, but it's, I don't know, you get to that situation where, ooh, I don't want to risk losing it. Ooh, should I even use it? Ooh, I'm just going to keep it back here. In the end, it's like, oh, great, so we spent all our resources on this thing, we don't even want to use it. We should have built 10 smaller submarines, yeah, right? Yeah. So those smaller subs, yeah, they're the ones hunting hunter killers and hunting killers and killing hunters, and yeah, they're the ones doing the naval warfare. Yeah, I probably repeated a couple things. I wanted to hammer out these basics. So yeah, at least now you know where the nukes are. Stop looking on land. You're not going to find a nuclear silo in your backyard. You might, but it's probably outdated. Some of them might still be online, ready to launch nukes. I don't know if you've seen some of these. I haven't been inside, but a lot of these bunkers they have in facilities for launching these land nukes, yeah, they were built in like the 50s and 60s. Some of them have never had their computers upgraded. You got to realize that we got to do it to 300 of them. Is it even worth it? Well, we could build some boomers instead. That's just it. They invested in the whole boomer submarine thing and left these land-based silos with computers from the 60s and 70s. I've seen just, it's like 3 guys working, they got like a small team that works in each facility. I'm sure they rotate, whatever. But yeah, they still have old levers and knobs and fucking, they still have like some small computers they added, but it's like, oh my god, man. No, that can only last so long. And yeah, there is a shelf life for uranium and plutonium, and they don't expire like one day they just stop working, but they reach a point where they slowly get a bit weaker, and you have to keep putting effort and resources into maintaining them and blah blah blah. So you got to basically stick with the system that works and go with it. The boomers is, like I said, ever since the Cuban Missile Crisis, it's like, well, it'd be nice if we could just park Cuba wherever we want to. And I don't know what's going to happen after that. There's probably some crazy shit you could speculate on. But, yeah, oh yeah, so now we can finally get to the tactical nukes. That was the whole point. We can start discussing tactical nukes now that we've discussed all the other nukes. And you might even understand why it's important to know the difference between all these fucking nukes. Once we have a list of all the 200 different nuclear weapon platforms, you can go to Grandpa and be like, hey, Grandpa, remember the bomb, the nuke? Yeah, check this out, Grandpa. Oh, look at all the... Oh, my God. Sorry, bud. Yeah, no, I know. So yeah, but yeah, the next section, or next little class on here, we're going to look specifically at the tactical nuke, and you might start realizing, hey, you know what? Tactical nuke might actually be the better choice out of all these things. It's better than fucking Agent Orange, it's better than Anthrax. The big motherfucking bomb, I think it's still a bomb. It's not a missile, so you still have to drop it, which means it's not 100% accurate. Missiles can be way more accurate. You can target exactly where the fuck you want it to hit. And if you can sort of adjust, you don't control the explosion, turn it up as high as... It only goes so high, buddy. Yeah, exactly. But imagine a missile that literally had a knob on it. You want 1 to 10. Now, how powerful should this blow? Let's turn it up to 5, turn it up to 6. Pretty much. And I mean, there's so many... Instead of, oh, we need a warehouse. These are the small ones. These are the big ones. Like, no, they're all the same. They all work in the same platform. We're getting to that point where, yeah, it's the efficiency, because there's just so many factors at play. You know, it's not just people dying. It's, yeah, wasting tons of money, and then we can't feed people, and right? So, yeah, people always bitch about the cost of things, and yeah, one of the big benefits to some of this is we can finally start spending less money on some of this shit. Because, yeah, I know it's a crazy technology, and oh my god, how much money. Once you have it, it's there, and building more is cheap. Do you really want to just keep pumping out diesel engines forever? Yeah, no, I'm sorry, that's no better of a solution. So unless you invent a much better system, I know it's all green energy, haha, go work on it or talk to people who do it. You can't just sit on your ass like King Henry waiting for green energy one day. I mean, you can, but then no one's gonna, you know, what yeah, exactly. Alright, yeah, this class is pretty much over. Next time, we're gonna get into tactical nukes, and yeah, you know, we might even see why we should have used one of those instead of the fucking Agent Orange. And yeah, next time you hear about nukes, you won't just immediately assume the entire world is gonna explode right away. Alright, we've made some progress. See you soon.